What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen happen at work? While working at a supermarket, I was walking through the dairy department and saw a fellow employee over by the eggs. As I got closer, I could see him with a carton open, and he seemed to be turning each egg. After doing the whole pack, I asked him what he was doing and he responded, "The manager asked me to rotate the eggs." I facepalmed and explained what they actually meant, to which he replied, "That makes a lot more sense." For context, in the grocery world, to rotate means to make sure the earliest dates of expiration are towards the front of the shelf. I work in a kindergarten for kids with special needs. One kid kept going for a quiet place few times a day, and we figured he just needed some time alone. This was outside in the playground where there was a little treehouse in the back behind some trees. On the third day of this happening, I went to see what's up and encourage him to talk about why he needed time alone. I found him sitting on the ground eating one big spoonful of sand after the other. We're not just talking baby eating sand here, more like a medium-sized kid shoveling sand down his stomach like it was his favorite food. So yeah, this little boy probably ate a lot of sand during those 3 days and probably longer. He's fine now, second grader now, kicked me in the butt when I saw him in a grocery store a week ago. I work in an office and thought it would be funny to put googly eyes on my coworker's desk one day. Everyone had a good laugh over it, and a couple weeks I found googly eyes on all my stuff. It became a game of who could arrange googlies on people's desk in the most creative, funny manner. It was hilarious. Then one of the adjacent departments caught wind of the good times we were having and started doing the same. Cue a month later and there are effing googly eyes everywhere. It was absurd. On the drinking fountains, clocks, vending machines, garbage cans, toilets, you name it, there were googly eyes littered all over the goddamn place. The custodians started complaining that they couldn't keep up with the mess. Visiting customers would look around at the googly spectacle in disbelief of the unprofessionalism. The head managers had to hold team meetings to talk to all the teams about removing all googly eyes, and of course, since I started it, anytime a rogue googly eye popped up months later, I got a stern look from my boss. The day that I quit there, or get fired, more likely, there will be an unleashing of googly eyes that will be unrivaled. People will be effing swimming through piles of googly eyes just to get to the completely googly eye covered desks. The vents will be spitting out plastic eyeballs of all shapes and sizes. People will open their lunches they brought from home and gasp in shock as they find nothing but little beady shaky eyes looking up from the Tupperware. There will be googly eyes. I was visiting our warehouse, which looked pretty standard as all things go. Tall shelves loaded with pallets, conveyor belts and forklifts going to and fro, burly men and women in high-vis attire pottering about. When all of a sudden a song broke out over the PA system and every single person started dancing. Their expressions didn't change, they didn't stop what they were doing or where they were going, they all just danced as they went about their business. A few seconds later the music stopped and they resumed normal existence. It was so bizarre, like they had been brainwashed to respond to the music and didn't recognize their own conditioning. Turns out that's all part of their ergonomics program. Every so often the music starts up and they're meant to move about as a form of stretching. I worked in a small office. There was a front lobby area with a conference room off to the side. It was separated by a door from the rest of the office. So I'm sitting at my desk, just working, and I hear screaming from the front lobby area, like straight up someone is being murdered screaming. Everyone in the office area is freaking out, assuming there was a robbery or something horrible happening in the front. I hear someone shrieking for help, so I'm like, okay, this is clearly not a dangerous situation, it must be a medical emergency or something like that. I tell one of my coworkers to call 911. I proceed to open the door quietly and walk towards the lobby. I do not see anyone, even the receptionist, but the screaming is still going on from inside the conference room. I slowly open the door and find about 8 people on top of the table, including the owners of the company and a couple clients. I'm just staring at them, seriously confused about what I just walked into. I look down and see a tiny little field mouse hopping around in circles around the table. I picked the little guy up and became the hero of the day. 911 dispatched a couple of police officers over a tiny mouse. My raise that year was substantially higher than usual. I work at a small fancy Chinese restaurant, and last night me and my friend went in to go eat, visit some coworkers. We went in at the time where it was slowing down so much that the servers had time to sit and chat. We have a music system that will play CDs quietly over speakers throughout the restaurant. At one point when we had finished eating, me and my friend hear a piano and I think to myself, wow, these speakers are loud, but only after turning my head to the right to investigate, I see a keyboard. Someone managed to bring an entire keyboard into this restaurant. Me and my friend give each other a confused look, only to be followed by the party, taking up half of one of 3 dining rooms, beginning to sing choir music. Me, my friend, and some coworkers proceed to burst out laughing. 2 things come to mind from when I worked at department store in college. A woman came into the store, went through the perfume aisle, took a few bottles into the layaway storage room, and drank them. This was all right before closing, maybe 10 minutes, or so. Watching this on camera was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Some dude came in strumming a banjo as he followed his sir around as she shopped. I, and all of my coworkers, searched for someone with a camera to see if it was some sort of gag, but nope. Dude just walked the aisles with his girl playing the banjo to keep himself occupied. I used to work in landscaping and in the winter would do snow removal. My boss hired a lot of Craigslist randos for snow shoveling, and because it's Craigslist, you got all kinds of people. The weirdest incident I can remember was this guy working with my boss and I when a police car pulled up. The cop talked to the guy for a minute and then arrested him. Apparently the guy was on parole and had one of those ankle monitors that track your blood alcohol level. As he was getting led away, he yelled to my boss, "I had some beers before I came out, I was nervous, please don't fire me." Never saw that dude again. I work with aircraft, and one morning on the flight line we found a cleanly cut off rabbit head. About a week later we found another, then another. After a while my bosses took notice and believed that it was some psycho on night shift beheading rabbits, and launched an investigation into it because they were sure it must have been a person due to them having such clean cuts and never finding the bodies or any blood. Then one day in the wee hours of the morning we found the culprits. Owls. They would take the rabbits to the top of the hangar, eat the bodies leaving only the head, and drop them over the side or occasionally inside. A little kid, like maybe 5, casually walking through the mall unaccompanied. That's not that weird, except he had a effing gigantic pet snake wrapped around his body, an arm kind of just chilling on his shoulder and looking around. I mean, no one is snatching that kid. I worked at a restaurant years ago. We were having trouble keeping kitchen staff at the time, so they hired this guy. I don't remember his name, but we will call him Tom. He was just a weird dude. Every day he would go into basement cooler, mixed like 6 raw eggs, some milk, and other stuff together and just drink it. Without asking anyone if he could have it. He would wash dishes, super fast, but stare intently at the wall behind the dishwasher. One day he told me he eats a bowl of mushrooms before work and went on to talk about all these things he sees in the wall. There were some weird people there, but I'm pretty sure he was the dude who also tried to sell another guy dick enlargement supplement. At this same restaurant I had a lady cry, like sob cry, because I told her our pastas had garlic in them. I'm an elementary school teacher, so you can imagine how many random things I see and hear on a daily basis. But for whatever reason, the first one that comes to mind involves a second grader. Said little one was famous for losing just one shoe. Not for, like, 2 minutes. But sometimes for half of a day. Our staff chat often had messages like, "Hey, blank, lost his left shoe. Colors are black and gray. Be on the lookout." Definitely got some giggles out of those. Well, one day, I happened to be on deck to walk through campus with him and look for the shoe. We are looking everywhere, the field where he played soccer at lunch, inside and outside his classroom, in nearby trash cans, you name it. After 30 minutes of looking, kid starts to lose hope. I happen to look at some of the beautiful trees by our front gate, and what do you know? One single shoe stuck up a tree about 6 feet up. Kid was thrilled. Upon questioning, had no idea how it got up there. Happy kid, happy parents. Super weird experience.